What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 433 of Opinions May Vary. I'm your host, JR. Joining me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Alex.
Hello. You think I'm
How
lovely?
are you doing?
Oh.
I do. That's putting it lightly. That doesn't even begin to describe my feelings, but that's for another episode. We'll get there eventually. How are you doing? How's life?
I'm good. I got my first post-COVID haircut. Got the hair
that is legitimate cause for celebration.
Trimmed for the first time in 18 months ish. So that was nice. Refreshing. That's the word I couldn't think of.
Yes. I had a harsh reality.
Yeah.
Toward the beginning, it was toward the beginning, but like the first couple months of COVID when everything was locked and shut and not functioning aside from the stuff that was mandatory. And like you and everyone else, I couldn't get my hair cut. And I've never really had long hair. I've never been a long hair guy, but my dad has like decently long hair. And what I found that when I do get long hair and when I slick it back like my dad, like out of a shower, like, oh, my hair's in my face. It's so long. What do I do with all this hair? Oh, I'm going to slick it back.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I am my father. Like looking in the mirror when there was at some point in the last 30 years that I morphed into my father. It was a big realization. I sent it to my mom and she thought it was absolutely hysterical. Like she couldn't get enough. But anyways, got that taken care of.
Let's talk about tattoos.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about something that's not gross. We talked about some really cool stuff this week. We have someone that we talked with. They're not waiting patiently for us to shut up per usual. We already chatted with them. We're gonna play you our chat with them in just a few minutes. But first, we've talked about tattoos in the past. Mm-hmm. Way early on, I believe we talked about like dream tattoos or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then there was one episode I think with Will where we talked about tattoos.
Yep.
Like at length. But with all the different types of artists and creators and general people who make things, I don't think we've ever talked with a tattoo artist before.
No.
At least not that I recall, or I don't think anyone like dabbled in tattoos on the side that I can think of. I don't think we have.
The closest we have is that I think I got a sketch from an artist at an old Boston Comic-Con who then in later years went on to become a tattoo artist.
Right. But we have never in 430 plus episodes, I don't think. We could be wrong on this. There's a fact checker out there who wants to scour through the hundreds of hours. I don't think we've ever actually talked with a tattoo artist before. And we changed that this week. We got to chat with one. It was a very good time. I'm not going to get too into it because obviously you're going to hear it in a minute, but it was a really good chat. Alex, you've had tattoos a lot longer than me. And also more recently than me. You're more of an illustrated man than I am.
I don't, if we measure skin space, we might be tied, to be honest.
If we measure square footage?
Yes. Yeah.
Gross.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. We should have asked. We had the chance, but we blew it. But we got to talk with a very cool person who goes by the name Honestbird or Lora Bird. She has opened up her own studio called the Nest Art Collective, and this week she came on to talk with us about it. It is, I know a lot of our listeners are local to us in the New England area, but if there's anyone who happens to be out further west in the Colorado area, this episode's just for you. But it was a very neat chat. It was a lot of fun talking with her. So check it out. Here is our conversation, our chat with Colorado's own, the owner of the Nest Art Collective, Lora Bird. All right, so now joining us right now is another creator, another artist that Alex was fortunate enough to find through the grant kind of thing on Instagram. Right now, we are joined by Honestbird, also known as Lora Bird. Lora, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm pretty excited about this one. This is Alex and I have been talking about this for a little while now. In terms of like, Alex will send me things and he's like, "Hey, what do you think of these?" And I go, "Yes, that looks neat, and that looks neat, and that looks neat." Almost all the time, it looks neat. So it's usually kind of tough to kind of whittle it down. But this is one of the ones that I was immediately drawn to. So Lora, I'm very excited to chat with you this week. Before we get kind of too deep into it, I do want to get the kind of who are you and what do you have going on kind of not necessarily out of the way, but I want the people to know, because we obviously know, Alex and I know, but from what I can see, you have a kind of studio called the Nest Art Collective. What are you doing with this studio?
So the studio is a concept that I came up with during my tattoo apprenticeship. I'm a tattooer by trade. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. And during my apprenticeship, it occurred to me during my time in the shop that it's not very common for artists in the industry to treat clients, sorry, I don't want to say like humans, because that puts a bad light on everybody. However, a lot of shops are very open floor plan. You go in to get a rib tattoo and you have to feel like an exposed piece of meat on the tattoo table, that type of thing. So my important goal was to start the studio with 4 enclosed walls and a door that you can be in with just your artist and feel safe and comfortable to have a vulnerable experience with your artist, just because that's kind of the nature of tattooing, I think. So that was the base goal, is to have safe private studios, the safest environment possible for you to feel vulnerable in. And then it occurred to me that I know so many other types of creators and artists, and it's hard for people to get into galleries and sell their stuff and make stuff happen for themselves, that I wanted to make a space for people to make and sell art of all shapes and kinds, like in the lobby area. So basically what I have now is a gallery, a boutique, and like a maker space where we can meet and have classes, as well as 7 fully private studios that meet health code. So it's a lot. I wish I could like give it an elevator pitch. I'm sorry.
That was actually an excellent pitch, because you did it in less than 1:30.
All right. Well, we'll take it. Yeah, it's a complicated idea and it's taken a long time to get to fruition, but we did it.
So, as Jar alluded to, I searched through the applicants to Ginny D's and Patreon's artist grant. I think that was back around January, February of 2021. And as Jar said, we contacted Christina Pepper, who did her accompaniment, piano work. And now I was like, well, who else can we talk to? Let's try and find some more talent. And you're the second one that we've had, because after, as I said earlier, I think I looked at about 150 and I narrowed it down to maybe 8 to 10. And you're our second one. And back then you were looking for a way to make a safe space and make something. And actually hearing this pitch, it sounds different from what I had originally imagined. Because my very first thought was, well, sometimes what I tell friends who'd never gotten a tattoo before and they're new to the experience, they don't really know what to look for or kind of what they want. And when I first piece of advice is, if you ever walk into a shop and you feel uncomfortable, you can leave. Like, you're not obligated to have to get tattooed in the first shop you go in. You're allowed to go in and feel welcomed and feel warm and not be intimidated. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of times that happens. And I try to encourage them, like, you should have a good first experience. And also good following experiences. And so to me, it sounded like this is what you were trying to make. And even now, it's like you're taking that a step further out of what I originally thought. So that it's not just like they might put up the like a sandwich board or like one of those fold out curtains where if you walk
Yes.
by, you can still peek around if you're a creep?
Exactly. Yes. I really dislike that shop environment. So I'm trying really hard to change the way the game is played.
So from the point where you made your pitch video, have you been working on that ever since, or were you working on this before that? And how long has this been a goal?
Yes. Well, I was at a shop previously. I left in about August of last year, just honestly because of like my own high anxiety and like ADHD needs. Like it wasn't anything against the shop. Like it was a very welcoming environment, but it was still a very open space. And I was in the middle booth out of 3 booths. And, the other artists would be chatting, and then a client would walk in the door and the music would be going. And then my own client would say something and I would be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like I just like physically didn't have the bandwidth to be able to handle all of that while hyper focusing on permanent art. So I made the decision, in addition to that environment, as well as feeling safe for COVID, I ended up going to one of those little salon suite areas where you just like rent a tiny little booth and they kind of take care of the rest. And at first I was like, this is such a sanctuary, such a haven for me. And it only took me about 6 weeks before I was like, I need to do more. So this has been in my brain, I think, since September of last year. I didn't actually start looking at spaces until probably January or February. And then I actually just opened officially, like the new space is fully licensed as of a week ago. So
congrats.
Thank you. We did it.
That is extremely exciting. Mostly, I mean, I feel like there were, I don't even know what I'm saying, but so many obstacles, even just with the last year of COVID and pandemic, opening kind of your own business, your own studio sounds like a massive undertaking. So when Alex says congrats, like honestly, congrats, because that could not have been easy.
Yeah, no, it literally, I think it was hard enough that it literally changed me as a person. There was so much of my soul is in it. You know what I mean? It almost feels like I had a baby. I don't know if that sounds crazy, but.
Right.
So
right off the bat,
you go.
Oh, Alex, go ahead. Oh, we're both going. So I was just going to comment one thing that immediately stood out to me, and I believe you had mentioned it, during the elevator pitch, and specifically when I was looking into the Instagrams and just kind of researching. On your profile, you had said that it's a safe, private, clean space for all bodies to be tattooed. And immediately, right off the bat, I was like, why is this in Colorado? Why can't this be not thousands of miles away? I love tattoos. I love getting tattooed. When people say that like it hooks you, it's one of those things that, yes, it can suck while it's happening. But for some reason, like a week later, you're like, man, I'm going to get another one.
I should go for a tattoo.
Yeah, right. It's crazy how it works. And I've been very spoiled in my experiences with my main tattoo. I have a half sleeve on one of my arms, and my tattoo artist, she works alone. She is by herself in her own studio. So it has always been one-on-one. If I'm laying in a really awkward position or whatever, like I don't need to worry about someone being like coming across the corner and be like, what is this fool? What is he doing? How could you talk about the importance of having a safe, private, clean space for all bodies to be tattooed? Like, why was that kind of, I don't want to say, I don't know if it was number one on the list, but why is that such a priority for you?
I would say it is number one on the list. I mean, the gallery and all the art is wonderful. And of course I love it. And that's the most important. I mean, it's an important thing, but it's not the most important thing. To me, the most important thing is my relationship with my clients. I would say, you're extremely lucky that you have this one artist that you really need a connection with. And she has the private space that's also safe, and you've never had a bad experience. Well, I don't want to say never. I don't know you that well, but you haven't had a bad experience, that sounds like. But so many people, literally, I would say 80% of my clients that have been tattooed before that come in are like, this is so different than anything I've ever experienced. And sometimes it's very emotional. You hear stories of, like worst case scenario is being like sexually assaulted by your artist. And best case scenario is just feeling uncomfortable during an already uncomfortable situation.
Right.
So I think that range of like so many people have had that like uncomfortable or even terrible or even traumatic experience. And tattooing, like getting a tattoo is such a vulnerable place. There's no need to have any extra stuff on top of that. You should feel comfortable with your artist. You should feel comfortable asking questions. You should feel physically comfortable in the chair, in the seat. You don't want to worry about someone peeping around the corner if you have your whole ribs and flank exposed. You know what I mean? I just think it's tattooing isn't just my job. It's such an exchange of energy, and I get to have that trust and relationship with the clients. And like, I go home exhausted because I literally give into every tattoo out of my soul. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't just like, oh, I like to buzz hurt people. And there are people with, unfortunately, there are people with that mentality because it kind of has that like, ooh, rock and roll, old school lifestyle. But like, I think there's a new wave of tattooers that understand its significance culturally, historically, physically, emotionally.
I guess there is something to be said for being used to the environment, or that's just the environment that has usually been around, where it's like you said, it's the open floor plan and one person's getting tattooed, and then any other artist or any other client can kind of wander over and watch and then have commentary. And I've had a friend who was he worked in a shop, and a different guy was tattooing his client, and was getting some kind of symbol. And I don't recall what it was, but another guy walked in, he goes, "You're not in that gang." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, he's calling him out, saying that's a symbol for this biker gang, and he's going to call up his buddies and have them come beat him up." And it's out of like, this one kid's like, well, he didn't know that. And now is this guy serious, or is he just messing with him? And that's terrifying while you're there. Like, you can't move, your shirt's off, you're bleeding. And it's
you're
really
in pain,
awkward.
You're bleeding. Also, you're spending a lot of money usually. Like, it's a lot. Like,
so at the same time, it's still fun to have the tattoo artist, like his mentor comes over and says, "That's a good job," or "You did this nice." And then, like, well, the boss said it's good, so it must be good. Not that everyone needs that kudos or that compliment, but in the open environment, like, it's kind of nice to have. But then again, it's still like, all I can do is lay here. I don't have much power over the situation.
I would say too, that would be like a really like, it's awesome if the boss is going around saying that kind of thing, but I've also been in shop environments where the boss goes around and just doesn't say anything in front of the client, and it's like, can you at least pretend that you like this so that I don't hello? Oh my God. So it can be really frustrating depending on the shop culture and the environment of that specific space with those artists. Like, it can be really toxic. Like, even between artists, like, I remember some instances in my shop experience where, the artist would be talking about clients in front of other clients. And it always made me wonder, like, if I was that client, I'd be wondering if they talked about me that way when I left.
Yeah.
Right.
So if somebody asked me like, oh, what was the worst tattoo you ever did? Or what's the most pain anybody's been in? Like, I'll tell them the story, but it's not going to be specifics. It's not going to be gendered language. It's not, like, we all have our like in the weeds stories, and that's fine. But I would never like out another client or like make fun of them or make it like ridicule-y,
Sorry, you just said in the weeds. And in my research, I saw an interview where you had worked food service for years.
Yes.
I was a dishwasher for about 5 years. So
I've had 15 years in the food service industry. So
do you have anything, JR? Should I go?
I did have something, and I was really excited for it, and then it completely bailed out of my brains.
Okay.
So go ahead, Alex.
So the other artists that you have working with you,
yes.
How did you come about finding them? Did you already know them, or did you like put out a call for who wanted this environment, and how did you get them?
Yeah. I'm actually extremely fortunate. I kind of had this like little idea in my head. It was kind of burgeoning. I was like just starting to look around at real estate, that type of thing. And I actually had 3 of the artists that are with me currently, they reached out to me individually. And they said, just on Instagram, just said, hey, I'm a female tattooer. I'm a femme tattooer. I see that you're doing your own thing and I'm so excited for you. And that's awesome. And I was wondering how you did it, if you had any tips or tricks, that type of thing. And I was like, here's all the information that I have. Like, we don't gatekeep information. Like, if you want to go out on your own, that's amazing. And you should. Counter offer. What if you came and worked with me? So luckily, yeah, one of them, or I guess, one of them came with me, and she was actually moving back from Eugene, Oregon, and she just reached out and was like, I finished my apprenticeship. I only have 6 months of tattooing under my belt. I had to move for personal reasons, and I'm trying to apply to shops, and nobody will take me because I don't have enough experience. It's kind of one of those, like, you work at the shop you apprentice at until you die, or you wait 10 years and start your own thing. So she was like, I have 6 months experience. I can't afford to do another apprenticeship. I'm screwed. What do I do? And I was like, we're out the door with those traditions. She's extremely talented. I looked through her portfolio for 10 seconds and was like, all right, you're in. And because she was moving, I was actually able to bring her in on the space that I was renting currently on my days off. So she could start to build up her clientele and be ready for the opening, which actually worked out really beautifully. So that was super lucky. And then one of her best friends that she apprenticed with in Oregon decided to come with her because of the opportunity. So that was 3 of them. One of them I stole from the suites that I left. She decided to come with me. So sorry, sweets. And then, so after they all kind of trickled in after, the word got around that this was happening, and they all just kind of magically came to me. And I'm just super lucky. I did have one opening that I had to put the call out for, and then I just got some applications and just talked through all of those with people and found the person that I thought would be the right fit personality wise. Everybody that applied was so talented. It was like, I can't choose based on that. So
it's one of those, like, it's a good problem to have.
Absolutely.
Just having so much talent, trying to be in your shop, which that's another thing in and of itself. Is just, not only is it starting your own business, but you need to find artists. You need to, I guess it makes it a little bit easier, the whole starting your own business thing. But, I did remember what I was going to mention, and it's kind of in the same vein, because it's still talking about tattoo, because you had mentioned, I'm just going to deviate for just a quick second because this is driving me crazy. You had mentioned the questions that people ask. Oh, what's the worst tattoo you ever seen, or what's the worst reaction? Are those like, Alex and I have a friend who is a police officer, and every time us or a group is around this person, no matter what, even if it gets called out and people say they're not going to do it, it always ends up happening, because people end up saying, oh, hey man, one time I got a speeding ticket. Would you have given me a ticket? And it always turns into us asking him about his job, because none of us know what it's like to be a police officer.
Yep.
And he does, because he lives it. So like the tattoo questions, like the whole, what's the worst tattoo? What's the worst reaction? Painful thing. Like, are those just the, please God, don't ask me that? Like, are you asked that everywhere is it everywhere you go, I'm a tattoo artist. Oh, what's the worst tattoo you ever seen? Like, is it just immediate?
It's not so much those questions. Those are kind of like, they're in pain. They're thinking about it. They're in the studio. They're wondering. Like, that's mostly client stuff when they ask, and they're like in the throes of the pain.
Right.
But it is with like family, like joining with any sort of family, or like meeting any new friend groups. Oh my gosh, you're a tattoo artist. I've been thinking about getting a sleeve. And then I just have to just keep nodding. I'm like, yep, that sound. Okay. And then like, can we like do it this week? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm booking for January. So, unfortunately, I appreciate it, but like, email me and get in line. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I was actually just talking with my partner about how everywhere I go, I will always be working, because people just want to know. And everybody has a tattoo story or a tattoo they want. And you know what? It's fine, because I honestly love what I do. So it doesn't always feel like work.
True. Luckily, people like Alex and me get to hide behind the fact that, we have a podcast, so we're making content, and then we get to ask you the same old questions that everyone else asks.
Right. Well, I bet sometimes you get the whole, oh my gosh, I want to make a podcast, and here's my idea, and they just pitch it to you, and you're like, you're like eating a sandwich, like mid-bite, like,
Right. And honestly, like most of the time, it's just do it.
Yeah.
You thinking about making a podcast? Just do it. You thinking about getting a tattoo? Yep. Do it, dude.
Just do it. I know they always say it. They're like, I'm waiting, and I'm like, well, I mean, life is short, man. Like, go get your tattoo. Like, you deserve it. So.
That's honestly a perfect, because I wanted to talk about that, and I don't know if it's just me, and I'm hoping maybe being in the business you could speak to it, because in recent, especially over the last year, and please forgive me for my lengthy intros to my stupid questions, but over the last year or so, the realization that life is fleeting, we need to live life to the fullest because we never know when everything might completely shut down for a year. And so on and so forth. I've really developed this mentality of just do it. Like, I have the half sleeve, and I stopped at half sleeve because, job. Everyone always says, plan for the future and all that stuff. And now I'm like, screw it, dude. I'm finished. I'm going full sleeve. Like,
I agree.
I'm going right. Like, yeah, I figured, but I've developed a very just do it mentality. Do you see that kind of culture shifting in being in tattoos, where people are people getting less hesitant to get the thing they really want, or because everyone's like, oh, you need to make sure you hide it, make sure to get it in an inconspicuous area. Do you see people getting more
don't get the retail breaker, quote unquote?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I absolutely do. I see. I tattooed a 70-year-old woman. She got her first tattoo this year. I don't know. We didn't really talk that much because I try to respect, if the client's not feeling chatty, I try not to talk their ear off. I always say, if you want to put on headphones, that's a you thing. I can talk your ear off, or I can be silent. So we didn't chat that much, but right. I don't know if she had a loss because of COVID, or if she was just feeling isolated, or what happened, but she just snapped and was like, you know what? I'm getting a tattoo. And she found me because of the delicate line work that I do. And it was honestly a pleasure. What a sass master. It was such a beautiful experience. You're 70, you've never done this, and you maybe always wanted to, but societal norms or whatever have made you hesitate. And then all of a sudden it's well, we're all going to die. So might as well be happy while we're here.
Right.
Which is really beautiful.
There's the popular, I've seen the meme on Instagram a lot, and when it's do you have any idea what those tattoos are going to look like when you're older? And it's yeah, I do. They're going to look fucking awesome.
Yeah, I was hopefully I look like a badass. So
yeah, exactly.
Oh, the number of times I've heard, you're going to wish you didn't have those when you're old and wrinkly. And I'm like, if I could make a wish when I'm 90, I'm going to wish not to be old.
Well, and I genuinely too, I'm not that old. I'm only 30, but I am, I'm a human being. I have cellulite, I have stretch marks, whatever. But I genuinely am regaining the autonomy of loving my own body. Every time I get a stretch mark or a patch of veins that I'm embarrassed about, I put a freaking tattoo over it. I just got the whole side of my thigh done, and I love going to the beach now. It just gave me the gumption to say, you know what, everybody look at my tattoo. I don't really care about the stretch marks on my butt.
Right. Yep.
So.
Yep.
That's rad. So you had said your space will also probably have classes in a maker space. What kind of plans do you have for that? Are there already, I guess, classes or training times set up, or?
Not quite yet. I would really like to get started with those. Unfortunately, we had some construction delays, getting started, and blah, contractors and landlords and all the super fun stuff that I was just dealing with. So because we just opened a week ago, I'm going to give myself a couple months to breathe, a couple months to get my appointments back in order, because all my clients, everybody's emailing me, when can we get in? And I'm so excited, and it's such an honor that they all want to, but I'm I have people in my inbox from March that I haven't scheduled yet because of all of this. So I really am behind. So if any of you are listening, I'm sorry, and I will answer your email, I promise. I'm sorry. So yeah, I would just like to give myself a couple months to breathe. I am in cahoots now with a local, an artist. She runs Horrid Magazine on Instagram. It's at Horrid Mag. She does a really beautiful editorial quarterly, and she has a retail line and clothing, and she released an oracle deck and all this cool candles and lighters and all this stuff. So she is actually in the shop currently, And it may end up being a temporary thing. I know she wants to get her own storefront, which is amazing, and she should go do that. But we're giving her a home to kind of jump out of while things get started for her. And she would really like to do, I would have to ask her, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but she's trying to do classes for, like the Oracle deck and like that type of like more like witchy, like cool stuff, which is really exciting. She's extremely talented. Her and her brother run it. He does a lot of the design work. And she's kind of the front person, but honestly, I'm super excited for this collaboration. So you can check out them on Instagram as well. And I know they just released their most current issue, and it's really, really beautiful.
According to looking at the Instagram for the Nest Art Collective, which is nest.art.co, if anyone listening along wants to go check it out. Now, I'm not sure how much of our listenership is in Colorado, if any, but still, I did want to point it out. There's going to be a grand opening party, which is, well, of course, again, we typically post on Saturdays, which is this Saturday is the grand opening. But either way, I still wanted to talk to you about it. What kind of festivities do you have planned? What's the grand opening party gonna entail?
I'm so excited. So we did do a raffle just to like get us started. And this is something that I would really like to continue as well, is to continue to be sort of a foundation of the business, to have its focus on mutual aid. So when I was by myself, I would raffle off a tattoo. I'd say, it's $5 per ticket. You can enter as many times as you want, and I'll draw a name out of a hat in 2 weeks or whatever. And I take all that money from the tattoo and I donate it to, I raised $4,500 for BLM last June. And then around Thanksgiving time, I collaborated with another tattooer in Denver, and we put together actual like kits and like handed them out like specifically to unhoused neighbors, like during the holidays, all that kind of stuff. I've donated to the Center on Colfax, which is a Colorado local organization that helps with LGBTQ and specifically youth in the area. So I try to just like find place. How do I say it? If I have any platform at all in the world, I want to use it to fill others' cups. If my cup is overflowing, it's time to share. So that's really important to me. So we did do the raffle. Most of that money so far has gone to getting Nest open, but because you can't give out of an empty cup, and I needed to get this started. But once we get going, I'm planning on doing like, benefits and that type of event as well, like flash days and that type of thing, to help with current events that are happening but in the community. So we're going to do the raffle drawing, which is really exciting. All that to say, the raffle drawing will be on Saturday, July 31st. I had every artist donated a 2-hour tattoo to the raffle. So there's the chance to win, I think 6 different tattoos from different artists. Horrid Mag donated donated an issue of the magazine. One of our esthetician, she donated like a facial, lash lift, brow tint, everything. I have all of my ceramicists that are in there currently donated like some product. Like, it's just amazing. Like I put it out into the Nest besties is what I've been calling them. I put it out to the Nest besties on Instagram, and I was like, hey, if we did a raffle, like, who would be willing to donate? Like, do not feel obligated. I know things are tight. We're all trying to make money. Like, I'm not trying to ask you for free product, but if you have something and you want to help us get started, let me know. And the inpouring was unbelievable. So the list of prizes, I literally would have to like go get the computer and look at it. It's insane. So that is honestly like the main draw for me. I think people are really excited to like, come and see, like, meet all of these people that are coming together that I've been talking about for months, and like see the product and like, gain their prize if they win, which is really exciting. And then we're gonna have a food truck. I looked specifically for a woman-owned food truck in Denver, and boy, howdy, there are not many of them, but I found a wonderful food truck called Simply Le Crepe, and the owner's name is Jeanette, and she's gonna make us savory and sweet crepes, and I cannot wait. She has vegetarian options and gluten-free options, which is awesome. And then I think other than that, just like the food and the raffle, and, Horrid Mag is going to be there. And I have a photographer who actually she is donating a shoot to the raffle, but she's going to be there taking photos of all of us coming together. And I think it'll kind of finally be my first community event since COVID started. I genuinely, because of the late opening and everything and everybody moving in from out of state, etc., I haven't been in the same room with all of my artists.
Oh, wow.
So I'm genuinely really excited to like see the community like physically come together and just be together in this space that, you know, I literally blood, sweat, and teared into for the past month.
Do you have experience? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all. I'm just rambling. Sorry.
I was going to ask, do you have experience organizing community events? Because you seem to, and if this is kind of your first time, like, bravo, Jesus, because not only are you're very good at hyping it up, it is clear that you are passionate about it. It is infectious, and like.
That reminds me, I'm so sorry. Another thing, if anybody listening is coming on Saturday, we are going to do, the raffle isn't ending until 7 p.m. when we draw. So you can enter that day up to that point, and we're doing a menstruation donation station. So you can trade menstrual products that we're going to give directly to the community, to people in need. So that could be your raffle ticket instead of cash. So anyway, yes, I'm very passionate about all that.
Menstruation donation.
Menstruation donation station, and that might become a permanent fixture because I know it's such a problem. I can't imagine being unhoused and having to deal with all that in addition to everything else going on. So it's just a basic human right that shouldn't need to be stressed about.
It should be free. Like it.
I agree. Yeah.
It's like kids' lunches. It should just. Oh my God, I could get real political real quick.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I try to keep it politically light, but we can all tell that like it just is. It's something that's really important to me. So I'll make announcements about the permanent menstruation donation station.
and you can't. The rhyme just writes itself.
It does. It does. I was trying to decide if I could add crustacean in there somewhere, but I don't. I think it's too much. Maybe put a crab on the box. I don't know.
There's plenty of time to work on it.
But anyway, my event planning, actually, that was part of my food service experience. So I did start working at 15. I worked in fast food, McDonald's, whatever, you name it. I've actually worked probably at every fast food station that you can think of. Just because, you don't like it, so you move to the next one, and then it's the same old shit, and then you move on, whatever. But then when I went to college, I landed a job with, I went to Colorado State University in Fort Collins, and I landed a job with the catering department inside of the student center at CSU. And I freaking loved it. It was amazing. So I think I started as a temp because I was in college and I was 18 and I didn't know how the hell to get a job. So I just went to a temp agency and they hooked me up with this wonderful, the leader, the boss of the catering company. And within a month, she made me a manager because I had all this previous food experience, and she's used to people who have never worked before ever. So I was actually a manager there for all 4 years of college, and I continued that after I graduated while I was a teacher. So I have, and after I left teaching, I went back to catering in a different company. So I have 8 years of catering management experience, and I've probably worked over 300 weddings in my life. Like I am like, you ever see the wedding planner? Like, her bag is a joke. Like, she hasn't seen anything. I'm sorry. She only had one kind of Band-Aid in her bag, so she has no idea.
I get anxious thinking about, like, my wedding was extremely low key. Like, essentially my brother did everything for me. Like, him and his husband, but they hosted the party because we didn't rent a place. They gave us their entire house, their yard. They made all the food. They did everything, and even the little bits that I had to like handle on my own, I was like crumbling.
Oh my gosh, I can't even. I've seen weddings like that. Like I've literally like people order catering to their backyard or whatever, and it's like you set it up in those little wire chafers, and it's like not a big deal. But all the way to like 500 person, $80,000 affairs. You know what I mean? Like I've seen everything in between.
So I want to backtrack. You had mentioned your style is very delicate line work. How is that something you developed as you were doing it, or is that how you drew previously to tattooing? Because I'm always curious how someone develops, like they discover a style and how they stick to it, or how they cultivate that, and what it feels like branching out if they just want to stick to what they're good at.
Right. Well, that is one thing in tattooing is branching out. I always say that if I want to try something else besides what I'm I know I'm good at, I'm definitely trying it on myself first. So um, that way, if I mess up, it's on me and I can deal with that. Um, but yeah, I think it was just kind of how I drew before. I always, those little teeny tiny micron pens. We're talking like the .001. That's
Yep.
kind of what I always doodled with. And genuinely, like, I don't really have an art background. Like, I went to school for music. I was a music educator for 3 years while also catering. So I never really had like drawn. I wouldn't really consider myself to be like a super talented like artist, I guess, which is silly now to say because that's what I do. But previous to my apprenticeship, I would just doodle in the margins of my notebooks during college, and I genuinely could just chalk up all my drawing skills to having ADHD and needing to do something with my hands while I listen. And it's kind of just these little tiny like micro doodles. We're talking like, 12 hours to fill one page type small. Okay. So right. That kind of, that translated really easily to me. And the technology of the machines now is so amazing. Like, it doesn't have to be big chubby lines all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, traditional tattoos are amazing. And those people are incredible. And I'm not good at that style. You know what I mean? So it just makes sense in my brain to go kind of micro.
Was it important to try and find artists that have different or complementary styles?
Alex.
Yeah.
Quick hot second, Alex, because I was talking over you, and we're gonna have to cut all that stuff out that we were just vamping. Oh. Start so I don't blow your question. Ask that one again if you don't mind.
When looking for other artists, was it important to find different people that do different styles or also complementary styles to yours?
Yeah. As I said, the artist kind of came to me, and it just so happened that there's enough variety and also enough similarity that it just kind of magically worked out. I think one of the gals that I brought on is like just an incredible color artist. She does a lot of neo-traditional styles and kind of more realism, where I'm kind of more like black line work. You know what I mean? Like more delicate, like simple black line work, almost ignorant style. If you guys want to look that up on the internet, that's the nice way of saying like it's stupid, but in a way that I really love, like stupid in a good way.
Okay.
I really love doing like a stupid tattoo. So yeah, I just kind of
Furby one right now. The Praise Our Dark Master.
That is the prime example of what I would like to be doing with my life, is just giving people stupid Furby tattoos. So yeah, I kind of do a pop color here and there, but the artists that I brought on, like most of them work in amazing color, which is so incredible because now when people say, oh, I really want to do your florals, but I want to do them in color, I can say, hey, go to Izzy. She's incredible. Go to Michaela. She's incredible. Go to Russ. He's amazing. You know what I mean? So all these other people that do color, but then like Krista and Lily are the two that came from Oregon, and they actually have kind of, if you could split up the delicate floral work and then into like the stupid ignorant style that I do, it's like two other people that do that, just, but different. Like it's good, but it's a different style. So it is really similar. But it's also different enough that I think people, and there's also that shop culture in some traditional spots where, like you go to your artist, and if you leave that artist, you're a traitor, and blah, it's big drama and betrayal and blah. Like, I don't feel that way. I'm like, please go get tattooed by everybody else. Like, you have so much skin. Fill it up. And not by me. I mean, unless you want to, which is great, but like, I will not be offended, and nobody else in the shop will be offended. Like, we all want to have a relationship and talk to you and get to know you and give you the art that you want. So I think we have good options for all that.
For customers, because it's one thing that I'm struggling with, especially with wanting to get all these tattoos post-COVID. Not that we're even really post-COVID, right, now that vaccines are available and things are opening up more and more. It's tough to kind of find someone. Like the main tattoo artist that I've been going to for a long time kind of fell in my lap. She was a friend of a friend, and it was introduced as very easy. The work was done for me. And I find that finding someone and reaching out and trying to, especially now because books are so full, with everyone opening up again, what advice can you give to people out there who might be thinking, maybe I don't have a tattoo, but I want to start getting into this, How do I
Mm-hmm.
find someone? How do I reach out?
Mm-hmm.
What advice could you give to people looking to do that?
It's hard because it's kind of traditionally been the culture of like a walk-in shop. Like you walk in that day and you pick a thing off a wall and you get it, which is great. And if you want to do that, I have great recommendations specifically in Denver, but I could like do research for you in any city probably. So the tradition is to get a walk-in. I personally don't like that tradition. I want, like I said, I want to make a connection with my artist. I want to connect with the art. I want to make sure I know what I'm getting beforehand. And Instagram has honestly, as much as I have things to say about the platform, and its politics, I love it for artists if you can, curate your profile to show you what you want. Because you can search in your city, say, tattooers in St. Louis or wherever you are, and it'll show you all the people that are on Instagram and active. And those people typically are the people that are booking so far out and having, art that's already designed for sale, or who will work with you one-on-one to make that piece of art specifically for your body, which is a lot of what I do. People always ask me, like, do you have custom or do you have pre-drawns ready? Like, do you have a flash book? And I'm like, honestly, like, I don't have time to draw for myself because I'm doing all of y'all's really cool ideas. um, And I think, if you find an artist and you really dig their style, just be sure to either check the shop they're at or check their Instagram. A lot of people do like a little booking highlight reel. They say, click on this and it'll tell you how to book with me, or my books are closed until August, or currently I just moved to a wait list, which is a thing that I am seeing more of a trend of, because originally I was doing like one booking day every 6 months, and I would just book out 6 months in advance. And then it was like, well, you just have to wait. And with this, you still do have to wait. However, it doesn't feel as long between when you set the appointment and when the appointment actually happens, if it makes sense.
Right.
So you might be waiting to hear back from me, but once I actually talk to you, it gives me more time to actually like consult with you via email, or even get you for an in-person consultation, that type of thing. So just make sure you know what kind of wait list they're on or what kind of booking process they use. And if you're not sure, I would say generally email is preferred among most artists that I know, unless they specifically say DM, because DMs can be so hard to find. Mm-hmm. Instagram's platform is not really searchable. So if you have, if your Instagram handle is doorknobs23, but your real name is Kate, I'm not going to be able to find Kate because I'm not going to remember doorknobs. You see what I mean?
Right.
So typically I would say, if you're not sure, try to find an email address or a website to do like a booking form. I always say to people, there are some artists out there who are like, no DMs, don't DM me. And I understand the sentiment, but I also don't feel that way. I was like, I'll chat with you about your tattoo. You can tell me your ideas. We can say hi. You can send me a meme. That's fine. But I'm not going to book with you until you email me, simply because of the fact that I can't remember. I have to have it like chronological in my inbox so that I don't miss you, if that makes sense. So if you're not sure, like, and it's your first time or whatever, don't get intimidated. Like, and if the person is being intimidating to you, you probably don't want a tattoo from them. I understand the sentiment behind a lot of the artists that are like, don't DM me. This is the only way. You have to book with me on a full moon when it's raining and there's 1 hour and we'll send you a carrier pigeon. Like, I get it. I understand we're all that busy, but if it's that, you know what I mean? Like, find someone who's reasonable. I always say, I'm not trying to be unreasonable. I know it can be a long wait, but it doesn't have to be that hard.
Like I said earlier, it is infectious how, I guess, excited and passionate you are about this. So it is, it's one of those things, like, I wish the shop all the best. I hope it just launches. I hope the grand opening is phenomenal. Unfortunately, like I said, we typically post on Saturdays, right. So like, no worries. The same day.
That's okay. It's exciting.
But still, it is, and it's also, speaking from personally, the kind of vibe that you have set out to create with your shop is pretty much. Mm-hmm. I hope people do more of that. I hope that becomes more of a thing, so like, while I love that you are doing it and I can say thank you for doing this, I hope that it becomes more widespread.
I think so too. Well, and it's like, the same with, like getting a full sleeve or whatever, like you said, like not hiding your tattoos. It's the same with like the tattoo shop culture. It's not going to become normalized until we normalize it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you're not actively working towards making a better environment than your predecessors, then what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I feel.
Absolutely. Speaking of culture, one thing I did want to briefly touch on, I'm not sure if it, how it's really impacted you. I mean, it's kind of impacted everyone, but in terms of getting back and opening up, we've mentioned COVID a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
How has has the pandemic, COVID, anything changed your approach to tattooing? Like a lot of people, say I'm wearing my mask indefinitely. I like wearing my mask. I don't have to smile anymore. It's and like
that's not why I wear it.
Right. And then also like I haven't been sick in over a year. It's how has it changed, or has it rather changed your approach to tattooing at all?
My physical approach of like my actual space didn't change at all. I hospital grade clean that room at least 3 times a day, including like the light switches. Like it's literally, my 2 health inspectors in counties in Colorado have called me an overachiever at this point, which I'm actually very proud of. They said it mean, and I was like, okay, thanks. Like, where's my ribbon?
Right.
But so physically, yeah, right. Could you just sign it? Thanks. Gold star. No, just kidding. But it's so physically, all I have done to change my routine is wear a mask and ask that the client wears a mask as well. We are continuing that at Nest currently. Right now, I think my policy is that once Colorado itself is 70% vaccinated, if you are from the state and you haven't traveled, then we will probably ease up on that. I'm not sure. I might change my mind depending on Delta. I literally wake up every morning still, and I have done this since last March. I wake up every morning and I Google COVID and what's going on with it. And there's actually, this sounds crazy, but there's some really great science educators on TikTok that make 30-second daily updates that just help you kind of grasp what's happening. So I do that. But like mentally, I think, and maybe this is more personal and less like specific to tattooing, but COVID kind of gave me confidence and gumption that I never had before. And I understand that this is coming from a place of privilege. I've had a very easy ride through a super tough time, and I understand that that's extremely privileged, but it gave me the confidence. Like before, I was such a people pleaser and kind of like a malleable, like wormy yes woman. I would just be like, oh yes, anything to make you happy, like even if it was hurting me. And once COVID happened, it was like, like I would get invited out to a skate park and I'd be like, no. And like, honestly, fuck you for asking. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it taught me to say no. It taught me to stand up for myself, and it taught me to stand up for the people that I love. And that has definitely translated into tattooing. Like, especially like if I'm not comfortable doing a piece, like now I'll tell you, I'll say it's not personal, but I can and will fuck this piece up for you. So please don't get it from me. Go somewhere else, or to somebody who does realism or whatever, the thing is that I don't do. So it's helped me in that way in my career, just helping me like learn to stand up for myself. And also just, like implementing those types of like, put your mask on or we're going to have to stop. Put your mask on or you're going to leave with an unfinished tattoo. Right. That type of thing. That's not something that I ever would have said before this. I would have just been like, oh, it's fine. If I get COVID, I'll just die. You know what I mean? It's fine. Don't worry about it. So for whatever reason, it just really gave me the confidence to like, I guess, start Nest even. Like before I would have just laid down and said, oh yeah, I guess this is just how shops are. But for whatever reason, I guess I got tired. I was like, it doesn't have to be this way. So.
Yeah. All right. Alex, do you have any,
No.
Anything else you wanted to hit on before? I know we probably ran a little long. Laura, thank you for bearing with us. But
oh, thank you.
This has been an absolute blast talking with you. Before we wrap up, I did want to make sure that anyone who happens to be listening, if you're in the Colorado area, if you're planning on going to Colorado and you also happen to want a tattoo, or if you just want to see what we're talking about, maybe you just check it out on the internet. Laura, where can people go to find you and your work, and also the Nest Art Collective?
Sure. So I'm at Honestbird, all one word. It's been my nickname since elementary school. Honestbird on Instagram. And then our shop is Nest Art Collective. The Instagram is at nest.art.co. And eventually, I'm sorry the website's not up. Everything is too fast. But the website will be nestco.art eventually. So if you go there and it's dead, give me a week. But yeah, so at nest.art.co on Instagram.
Excellent. And
there you can find all of our artists and vendors and all of their tags and handles. They're all super talented, and you should follow every single one of them. It's literally ceramicists, jewelers, painters, comic artists, clothing. It's insane. I even have a guy who sells crystals. They're all natural. He's incredible. Follow all of them.
Excellent. And if you wanted to know more about these people, you can even just go to the Nest Art Collective Instagram, and you have like little blurbs for each person. It's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Like meet the artist, meet the aesthetician. I butchered that one.
Esthetician, yeah.
Esthetician. I was close. It's really, it's a neat little kind of an intro, right. And then also you can check out the full artist page if you want.
Yeah, they're all extremely talented, and I don't want anyone to think that like I'm the most important person in this whole shindig. I literally just organized it, so all of them some of them are more talented than me, and I'm a little jealous, but we'll get there.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we've definitely been there, but Lora, again, congratulations. Best of luck on the upcoming grand opening. I gotta say, like, having just met you an hour ago, this has been a fantastic conversation. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored. Thank you.
Well, that is gonna do it. Go and check out Lora and all of her friends at the Nest Art Collective. Just support local art, support local artists, support your local tattoo artists. It's just there's no time like the present. If you want that tattoo, go get it. Go get it. Just do that tattoo, man. It's gonna look awesome.
Life is short.
Exactly. All right. With all that said, we do need to end. This has been a blast. I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm officially rambling again. So until next time, I have been JR.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Honestbird.
And this has been episode 433 of Opinions May Vary. Hey everyone, if you liked that episode, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Opinions May Vary, and on Twitter and YouTube at OMV Podcast. You can also find us on Spotify or on our very own website at omvpodcast.com. And if you're looking for merch, we have stickers and pins available over at omvpodcast.bigcartel.com while supplies last. As always, thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you thought in the comments, and we will see you next time.